About reasons for the public ownership of businesses. And when we talk about public ownership of business, it simply means government taking charge, right? Which is like nationalization.
Yeah.
So what are the reasons why government will take charge of certain activity or certain services? The first reason is about to avoid wasteful duplication. And when we talk about wasteful duplication, it simply means services that are not supposed to be carried out by two or more entities, like the water corporation, water supply. To have a water supply within a country or within an area, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of infrastructure to build. Yes or no? It is expensive to do. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So why would two companies why would two companies involve themselves supplying water when it should be done by just a company? Do you understand? So companies are services that can be rendered by just an entity wouldn't be done by government would not allow those services to be carried out by private sector.
So basically,
Because it becomes waste of resources.
So to avoid,
Waste of
waste of resources and many companies taking over on the same thing.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, doing the same thing. The government has to take charge and has to take one company to do it.
To do
the thing.
Yes, that is the first point there. So you wouldn't waste resources. Resources are already scarce. So
Yeah.
why do we have to waste them again? Is it clear? So that's the first reason why there's public ownership of business. The second one, to maintain control of strategic industries. When we talk about strategic industries, we are talking about industries that are vital to the nation, like education, like healthcare, like aviation. These things are so paramount, are so important to national building, to the nation's wealth. So these things cannot be left in the hands of the private sector. If they are left in the hands of the private sector, they might exploit customers.
With money.
They might charge higher prices because these things are inevitable. We call it strategic. Do you understand? So these things like the police service shouldn't be private.
Yeah.
The judiciary shouldn't be private.
I mean, police,
the courts.
Yeah, because police is for safety.
Yes. So
You cannot charge for safety.
You cannot leave individuals or private sector to take charge of these businesses. So that's another reason why government wants to take charge, to maintain control of strategic industries. These industries, why did we call them strategic industries? We call them strategic industries because these industries are so vital to nation building. Do you get it?
Yeah.
That's the second reason. The third one, save jobs. In some cases, businesses have been taken into public ownership to save jobs. A government might take control of a falling private sector business if it employs very large numbers of people. It might be preferable to allow a business to carry on trading even though it is losing money, if it prevents mass unemployment. So what they are saying here is this: government might nationalize a private sector business. Why? Because government wants to save jobs. One of government objective, macroeconomic objective, is to increase employment or to reduce unemployment. But if a private sector business is falling, if it finally falls, it means people that are engaged in that business would lose their jobs. Yes or no?
Yes.
So government would not want that to happen. Because if that happens, it increases unemployment in the society, which is not good for government. As a result, government will take charge of that. Government would start funding that private business. So that's the third reason why government would take ownership of a private sector business. The business might be falling. As a result, government wouldn't want to make people. Government wouldn't want unemployment to increase. What?
Wants more job. Basically.
Yes, government wouldn't want people to start losing their jobs. As a result, government take charge. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any question about that?
No.
The fourth one, fill the gaps left by the private sector. The private sector cannot provide everything. So we have what we call the merit goods. Merit goods are goods that without government intervention, we cannot all consume them, like education, like healthcare. If these things are left in the hands of the private sector, they will only provide for those who can afford them. That's why they are private sector. They want to make profit, yes or no?
Yeah.
They don't do things for free. Do you get the point? So because they can't do things for free, they would only provide goods and services for those who can afford them. So this is where government comes in. So with government intervention, what the private sector cannot provide, the public sector will provide. Like education, for example. We have the private schools, yes or no? Will all Libyans go to the private school? Can all Libyans go to the private school? Can all Libyan kids
No.
go to the private school? Why?
Because they need money.
Yes, that means some might not be able to afford it.
Yeah, and
That is why government comes in.
and that's
with the
why
public
and
school.
that's what public school exists. It's for
Yes.
free.
Do you get
Free
it? So
education.
that's why they said it fills the gaps left by the private sector. The private sector will provide education, yes, but they provide it for those who can afford it. So for those who cannot afford it, they have to go through the public sector, the public education, which is the government school. So the gap is left. There's a gap. The gap is filled by the government.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
You understand?
And the last one here, serve unprofitable regions. The private sector, we know the objective of the private sector is to profit maximize. Yes or no?
Of course,
Great.
yeah.
So if you wouldn't, Tahuna is a state, is an area in Libya. Yes or no? Tahuna. Good. Do you think there are international schools in Tahuna?
No.
But there are schools in Tahuna, yes or no?
Yeah.
The public schools. Why are public schools in Tahuna? Public schools are in Tahuna because Tahuna would not generate more revenue, more profit for private sector. So it is not interesting. It is not attractive for the private sector businesses. But government will go there to set up there because it is the duty of the government to provide services. So those regions that are not profitable, those regions that cannot attract investors, the government will take charge. Is it clear?
So it takes charge with no money.
Government-
The main focus is non-profit.
Yes, to provide services.
Yeah.
So the private sector, the private schools will not go there, but the government school will be there. Is it clear?
Clear.
So these are the reasons why we have public ownership of businesses. Any question about that?
No.